The Redondo Beach Center for Spiritual Living and the Ministry of Dr. Moira Foxe presents Living Ideas.
And so on this great good day, you and I get to look at an interesting question. And that question has to do with lack, not that we're into the consciousness of lack, but nevertheless it's a simple question. Are you lacking anything? Lacking anything? And if we were to ask that question of everybody in this room, the answer today would be one answer, maybe tomorrow a different answer, because we're up and down and all over the place with regard to what we think and feel about ourselves. And some of us might say, no, I don't feel I'm lacking anything just now. And others would say, well, yeah, I think there's kind of something missing. I'm not sure what it is, but I think there's something missing. And other people would say, well, maybe, you know. But it's good for us to be clear with regard to where we are at any given time. And really, the whole question that we're looking at today is not anything to do with lack, but the opposite, indeed. Although lack is something that's big in the conscious, the psyche of humankind, because our basic fundamental needs for thousands and thousands of years remain the same. Everybody needs to have a roof over their heads, clothes on their back, and food to eat, and an opportunity to interact socially. Those are the basic fundamental needs that we all have. And we're no different from our very early ancestors either. I was sharing this morning that an interesting report has come out that scientists have done on that snowman that was found in the higher regions, and the body is 5,000 years old. Actually, it's 1,000 years older than they thought it was to begin with. And they discovered that that man was coping with the very same problems you and I are coping with today. Even though he was on an organic diet, you know, because that's all they had at the time. And even though he had all that exercise behind him, because they had to exercise in those times, it wasn't an option, they found that he had plaque in his heart and that he had arthritis and, you know, had all the usual things that you hear out there and about. And so we all have that basic sense of what is required in order for us to live a very full and flourishing life. And the thing about it is, as you look around and out there, you see that most of the world will tell you they're in need. Most of the world is in need. Most of the world is lacking something or another. And some of those things are very basic things. And yet, at the same time, more experts will come in and say, we have more than enough food on this planet to feed everybody. There's no need for anybody to be hungry in this day and age. In fact, we have the technology that we could harvest the sea. All that's in the sea could feed the world, no problem. And it's an interesting thing. And yet, the need is there. Because in our psychic, there is this sewn-in fear and this sewn-in idea of shortage, and there is none. Why is there no shortage? Because we live in a very lavish, in a very abundant, in a very opulent universe. There's no shortage in it at all of anything. And of course not, because its creator was that which is whole and complete and full, and only had itself to create out of, so everything created was made in the image and likeness of itself, just as you are and I are, and you and I are the pinnacle of that creation, believe it or not. You and I are the pinnacle, made in the image and likeness of the Creator. So it's in your spiritual DNA, it's in my spiritual DNA, to flourish and to thrive and to live an abundant, full, flourishing life. That is our inheritance and our destiny. That is the divine design for us. And yet, that is not what is demonstrated in our lives. And very, very, very few people catch the consciousness of that, and very few people live according to the divine design of the spiritual DNA that is within us. And why not each one of us? Ernest Holmes says it only takes 1,000 individuals out of all of the bazillions there are, 1,000 individuals who can capture the consciousness of the science of life, apply the principles of the science of life, and experience the demonstrations of the application of those principles to bring about a whole new world, to turn this world into the world of peace and serenity that it was meant to be, and to begin demonstrating all kinds of good. 1,000 individuals, that's all. And it could be that you and I could be part of those 1,000 individuals if we so choose and so intend and so decide. And why not? Why not indeed? Now, if we look at one of the greatest examples we've ever had of one who understood the law of mind, who understood the power of consciousness, who understood that consciousness is key. Consciousness is the answer to everything, because it is within consciousness that we can conquer that sense of poverty, that sense of hardship, that sense of being needy, lacking, and without. Poverty consciousness is what keeps us stopped and blocked. And believe it or not, even though some of us are well enough off, we still entertain poverty consciousness to some degree or another, even if it is unconscious. Conscious or unconscious is going to get in the way of us being in the flow of life and flowing with us. It will stop us in life's flow, it will block us in life's flow, and it will cause stagnation. So prosperity, on the other hand, is not like poverty consciousness that diminishes us, that downgrades us. Prosperity consciousness is an upliftment, is an upgrade, always, always. And so it's given to you and I to catch that consciousness of the wholeness and the fullness of it all. And when we look out there to see the fullness and the plenty. Because you see, it is done unto us as we see it, as we think it, as we believe it. Absolutely it is. So if my consciousness is always going to lack, that's what I'm going to experience. And somebody with the poverty consciousness is somebody that holds up the cup of life that's supposed to be running over and spilling out with fullness and plenty, is somebody that holds that cup up to the fountain of life upside down so that nothing can get into it. That's what poverty consciousness does. Prosperity consciousness, on the other hand, holds up the cup and lets it fill up and spill over. Now, which way is it going to be for you and for me? The cup that goes up in the right direction or up in the wrong direction? It's up to us to choose. And Jesus was that great example, who knew the power of mind, who knew the power of consciousness, who made it into pure consciousness. And because he was able to align with that pure consciousness, he was able to do what the world called miracles, which he didn't call a miracle at all. He thought they were all very natural things. Why? Because he was aligned with his best word for what he called his creator, the source of his being, Father. That was his favorite word for the source of his being, the Father within him that doeth the work. And because of that, he could flourish and he could thrive, and did. And did. Now, there is this misunderstanding that Jesus blessed poverty and that Jesus was poor. Jesus was not a poor man, and he never blessed poverty. Jesus wore the garments of the opulent, the rich, and the wealthy. In fact, that was such a commodity that was worth so much that the soldiers at his death gambled for it to see who would win it. That's how wonderful a piece of work it was. The robes of the wealthy. Now, of course, he didn't live in a great stately home. He didn't need to. He didn't want to, because he was on the move all the time on the move. If you take up the Gospel of Mark and you read it, you get a sense of the urgency of Jesus. He always had that sense of urgency. He was a man on the move. Now, he didn't have to have a ton of stuff and things either. Why? Because he knew his needs were taken care of. He knew the Father would provide everything he needed when he needed it, as he needed it, and how he needed it. He didn't have to carry all that stuff with him, and he didn't have to have it all. He trusted the divine providence implicity. He had more than the faith of a mustard seed, indeed. He had absolute trust, absolute faith in the source of his being and the supplier of all his good. So he was never in want of any kind, ever. He could manifest that by getting out of the way and allowing divine providence to show up. Like the story of the loaves and the fishes. I mean, what did he do? He entered into the inner room, he closed the door, and there he communed with the Father, and the Father fed him. He ate with the Father. He was supplied with what he needed. What does that mean? It wasn't a cupboard, it wasn't a closet, it wasn't a geographical place at all. It was consciousness. He entered into higher conscious awareness. He blessed what was before them, 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. To feed 5,000. And so he entered into the higher conscious awareness, and he had this food, and he blessed it, and he said, you know, I know it's all going to be taken care of somehow or some way it will. Now, I don't know how it happened. Nobody really knows, and I don't care. I don't care if the heavens rained down fishes upon everybody and bread upon everybody. I don't care if when he blessed it, he kept breaking the thing, and more and more and more and more and more came out of the fishes and out of the bread. I don't care. Now, I like what Dr. Lamsa, who is a very special, highly aware biblical scholar, said. He said probably what happened was one of Jesus' great sponsors, supporters, sent a very full caravan of food to take care of Jesus and his needs. And just, timing is everything, just when Jesus was blessing what he had, in came the caravan. So much so that all those people were stuffed to the gills. They couldn't eat another morsel. There were 12 baskets left over, big huge baskets. Where do you think the baskets came of and out of heaven too? The caravan, of course. It makes sense to me, but I like things that make sense. I don't care how it happened. All I know is it happened. He fed these people out in the wilderness where there wasn't a supermarket to be had. And he fed them all, and they all went away thinking, oh my God, that's the best meal I ever had. I won't have to eat for 3 days, but it doesn't work like that, as you know. But anyway, he was fed, and you know, modern miracles are occurring all the time, Reminds me of the story of this wonderful man who ran an orphanage in Bristol in England. This man was an amazing man. He had super faith in divine providence. He really did know that all their needs would be taken care of so that he could take care of these children very well and give them a good start in life so that they can get out and be good citizens and flourish and thrive. And the people marveled about George Mueller because he never went out into the community with his cap in hand begging for supplies or funds or anything else. He just trusted in divine providence, and he knew all the needs of the place would be taken care of. Well, he was that way inclined, but not everybody who worked for him had the same kind of faith. So one day his assistant came to him and he said, oh, George, this is it. I mean, really, I don't know how we're going to do it. An hour from now, it'll be dinner time. We've nothing to feed the children, nothing. And of course George responded and he said, don't worry, don't be afraid, there will be food. Half an hour later he comes in again and he says, half an hour to go, and I don't know what you're thinking, but you know, all I'm knowing is we have hungry children and there's nothing to feed them with. And he said, don't worry, food will show up, there will be food. And so 5 minutes to the dining hour, he comes in wringing his hands saying, nothing going. And George just says, oh, just let the children come into the dining room, bring them into the dining room. So all the children come in, and his assistant is there, he's going, now what? And he says, let them say grace, let them say grace. So the children all say grace, and as soon as they all chorus amen, a big truckload of food is coming up the driveway, and the children, of course, are fed. And George gives great thanks. An hour before, one of the grocers in town had this idea. I should send some food, you know, over to the orphanage and help George out, feed those children. And there's the way you have it. And that's how modern miracles occur. His faith was responded to because it was unequivocal. There was nothing in his mind that would let him think that the good divine providence who takes care of all of our needs when we have faith in it was going to let him down. Never had until now, and he didn't think it was going to do that now, and it didn't. It happens all the time. Why? Because it is truly done unto us as we believe. It's like the 2 men that came to a very well-known spiritual practitioner, both of them out of employment, both of them desperate, both of them needing work and jobs. And so the practitioner gave them the same kind of counseling, gave them the same affirmations to say, treated them with the same prayer and so on. And in several weeks, both came back and they were thrilled. They were thrilled that they had work. And it transpired that the man who was earning $25,000 a year got a job at $25,000 a year. And the man who was earning $55,000 a year got a job at $55,000 a year. Because that's where their mental reach could go. It was the very same affirmation, the very same prayer, the very same counsel, and yet each one of them came in with employment that reached their mental reach, and only their mental reach. So it is only done unto you as you believe, you know. We will be poor to the extent that we feel and think we are poor. We will flourish and thrive to the extent that we feel and think we can. It is given to you and it is given to me to be empowered in this way, with a consciousness that's unstoppable, with a consciousness that's unlimited, with a consciousness that can know no bounds. And yet, we are in need, we are in want, and we lack. And there's something missing. Because we think it, because we feel it, because we allow it, because we see it, because we accept it. That's the only reason why we are in lack and limitation, and there is no other reason. It is done unto us as we believe. It truly is done unto us as we believe. So what is it going to be? I mean, really and truly, could you grasp and get your mind around being one of those 1,000 people that reach that quantum number that turns the whole thing upside down and creates a world wherein there is fullness and plenty for all. Fullness and plenty for all. There'd be no more groaning and belly aching. There would be no more lack and limitation and ignorance, because ignorance would have been wiped out. We would be living according to the intuitive intelligence within us, and not according to what the world is telling us out there. That's why again and again and again I'll keep reminding us all that Emerson says we must unlearn the wisdom of the world and go to where all the answers are, to the power and to the presence of the intuitive intelligence within us for our needs to be met and for our answers to come, whatever that is. It's trust, it's faith. That's why Paul says, stir up the gift that is within you. The gift of God that is within you, stir it up, stir it up. Have faith and trust. Let the fire of faith see you through all your needs, see you through all your challenges. Let that power and fire of faith allow you to release from yourself and let go whatever it is you're hanging on to that is keeping you back, that's stopping you and blocking you and holding you down. Whatever that is, let the power of faith release you from it. Get in touch with the truth that sets you free. That same faith that can bring into your life the good that you are desiring. That same faith that will cause you never to worry again, never to be afraid, never to be intimidated by any person, place, or thing. It is the faith, the living trust of Spirit itself that is within you. My goodness me, how many times do we have to be reminded? How many times do we have to read it? How many times do we have to hear it? How many times do we have to see it before we can feel it? Because nothing is happening to change if we don't feel it, if we don't allow ourselves the conviction of feeling, the power of feeling, the energy of feeling in an omni-active, omnipresent, infinite beingness of life and living. That's what you are living in. Omnipresence, omni-action, omnipotence, omniscience. You're living in all power. You're living in all knowledge. You're living in all awareness. You're living in all fullness. You're living in all plenty, but asleep to it. Asleep to it. Some of us more than others. Some of us more than others. It's time to wake up. Stir it up. Stir it up. Stir it up, says Paul. Wake up, says the prophet. Wake up. Wake up from your slumber. Isn't it time? Get out of your pajamas and put on your action clothes and get out there and be the action of life itself in the world. Stop dozing around in the house, moaning, groaning, and belly aching your lot. It's getting you where, for heaven's sakes? How is that working for you? What is that doing for you, and how does it show up in your life? There's time and place for everything. And the pajamas only play a small part in our lives, have you noticed? We're not supposed to lounge in them. We're supposed to get out of them in the morning and get up and get at it. We are active, omnipresent activity, each and every one of us. As the Spirit is, so too am I. If Spirit, as I was saying this morning, was to write us a letter, can you imagine what that letter might be like? And then we all have this wonderful thing in our minds, and it would be, beloved presence, darling of my heart, the beat of my pulse, the joy of my being, the delight in my eye. Oh, the magnificence that you are. I have done such a good job with you. You're the apple of my eye, and on and on. Well, I think Spirit would say, for goodness sake, what's the matter with you? Wake up, get a grip, snap out of it. Here you are, living with the probability and opportunity and possibility of fullness and plenty. You could be swimming in the river of life itself with all of that buoyancy and all of that delight. But no, oh no, oh no. And it doesn't matter which way I try to get this across to you, you don't hear it. I'm emailing you all the time, but do you open your emails? Oh no, it's spam, it's in the trash. You need to pull it out of that, back from that, and look at that and see what your brother Jesus told you over 2,000 years ago. Well, what he said 2,000 years ago stands today as it did yesterday and as it will tomorrow. And what was that your brother Jesus told you? Well, he did say, remember this, you are a child of the universe. You have inherited divinity itself. You are heir to the kingdom and all of its fullness and all of its goodness. All of it, nothing left back or held back. It's all there for you to recognize, to allow, to accept, to take responsibility for, and be a good steward over. There it is. The great brother Jesus told you that yes, I did create you, but when I created you, I entered into you and I remained with you, and you could call upon me at any time to answer any need you might have. But do you? Oh no, you don't. You go crying out there, looking for the help out there that's not there for you at all. The only help you're going to get is the help that I have already given you, that's already available to you, and it is within you. Wake up. Wake up, wake up. It's time to leave the pajamas. Get up, get out, get at it. Live your life as your life was meant to be lived. In joy that is complete. In abundance that is always available. With the peace that passes understanding. Did you not hear the invitation? Come, come, come. Come to me. Come to me when you're labored. Come to me when you're burdened. Come to me. Come to me. I'm the one that can handle this and take care of this. If you would just recognize that and allow that and get out of my way. Get out of my way and let the good flow through you. Wake up. Wake up, wake up. Yours is the kingdom. Now are you the sons and the daughters of the kingdom. It is here, it is now, and it's always there for you and will be there for you as it always was there for you. But I can't do it for you. You have to do this for yourself. You have to go up to the smorgasbord and help yourself. Nobody else is going to do it or serve you. You have to serve yourself. And in doing that, you're serving the world. You're serving the world. Make yourself strong. Make yourself sound. Make yourself sovereign so that you can empower others to do likewise. As a wimpy little thing all around the place, like a noodle flapping all over the place, you're useless. Useless. That's not who you are or what you are. Stop playing the part and the role of the imposter. Wake up to who you are, the truth of your being, and know, and know, and know. My love is unconditioned and unconditional, and it'll always be thus. You will always be the pulse in the life of the universe that I created you to be. Magnificent, power-filled, light-filled, life-full. That's the truth of your being. Now catch the consciousness of it. Get up, get out, and get with it. With it. Be with it. Be with the sovereign power that is within you, and be all that you can be, because there is no thing for you to do. There is only for you to be what you already are. That amazing emanation of life and light and love and peace and beauty and power and wisdom and understanding and knowledge and goodness and kindness and compassion, just like the presence that fills you, the presence that I am as you, in you, through you. This time, beloved, I'm knowing you're hearing, I'm knowing you're listening, and I'm knowing you're getting it, because you can. All is well within, all is well without. Right where you are, I am, and where I am, all is well. Hugs, love, and kisses. Your creator, the source of your being. P.S. No need to reply. I know it all anyway. Are you on? Do you want to be one of the 1,000? Are you willing to be it? When? Now. So it is.